shoot. Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now today we're going to look at something that I've actually had for quite some time now, and it's not for any other reason that they just get transferred so much between each of the different packs or different things that I'm carrying for that day, and they generally get used an awful lot. And that's the reason that it's took me so long to get to this point to actually make some content on them. But I think you can rest assured that these have been thoroughly tested. So what we are here today to look at are the Neat Freak braided line cutters from Gerber. So these are an outdoors style pair of scissors with serrated edges, so you can use these for a lot more than you would do an average pair of scissors that you know, just some nail clippers or something, which if you needed to you could clip your nails. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at these. Now I have in the past, where are they now? They're in my back pocket. I have made some content on some of the CK scissors. Now these are electrical scissors and these are outdoorsy. Actually they're designed for fishing, so that's part of the Gerber line that they're designed for, but you know, these are both perfect for EDC. So instead of a more of a will it could it kind of video, I thought it'd probably be more useful to give more of a comparison between the two of these, because rest assured whatever you can cut with these you can cut with just as ease as with the Gerber pair. So I'll get the camera turned around, we'll have a little bit more a look at these. While I'm doing that, if you like this at any point or even you think it's quite funny, then please feel to hit that like and subscribe button, that'd be awesome. But let's have a look at wrong ones, let's have a look at these. There you go, look, if I get that just in the light there, you can see the Gerber and the sword and shield logo. These little kind of shapes that you see here and here are replicated in the pattern that you get round the cutters, which aid with you gripping it when you've got wet, dirty hands, or you know, you're wearing some gloves. Now measurements wise, they measure 155 millimeters from the end all the way up to this section here. Now it says on the website that these are bare hand controlled. Now I thought that meant bare as in you can use them with bare hands, but it actually means bare as in bare. So I'm guessing that's what this is. It just means that when you've got it, you can either have your finger underneath it, you have your finger on top. It does make them very easy to use. It makes them very simple, and you know, they're less slippy when they're in your hands. But it's 155 millimeters from the nose to this protruding part. If this wasn't there, then it would take it down to 135 millimeters, so it takes up roughly 2 centimeters off the end. Construction wise, all of the metal that's on here is stainless steel, and then the handles, this is made just from like a tough plastic. One of the things that you may possibly be wondering is with this magnet here is how much of this, or how far the tang goes into the actual handles themselves. Now these are really good because hopefully if you can see here, it goes all the way through and all the way through here. So if you did have any sort of malfunction, or this part came off malfunction, I think I'm talking about guns, but if any of this were to come off, you could strip all of this plastic back and still be able to use these, because the metal goes all the way through here. The only part that the metal stops would be this bare claw section, which does mean if you weren't happy with this, you know, you got yourself a Dremel or something, then you could quite easily cut that off and sand it down. On the opposite side, hopefully you'll be able to see here that all of this magnet, so all of the metal runs through all of this. This small part here is a split shot crimper. Try to say that 5 times when you've had a few pints. So if you're out fishing and you've got some split shot, you need to be able to squeeze those together to get them to pinch. Then there is an exposed piece of metal on this side, which is part of the tang that goes through, and then you've got another piece there. So if you did need to squeeze them, you could put them between those, so you could crimp those shut and be able to close those up. Now I am not a fisher, and I definitely had to Google that, so hopefully it appeared like I knew what I was on about. You also have a lanyard loop, so if you're a fisherman and you're worried about dropping these in, you can put a cord on this that you can then attach to a belt or something, so that if you did drop it, they're not going to be carried away by the water. The last little thing that you've got is a bottle opener here as well. Now, as mentioned, I thought it'd be useful if I did do a little bit of a comparison against the CK scissors. Before I do though, what I thought I'd show you is, if you have one of these medical shear style sleeves, they fit perfectly into these. In fact, this is one that I got from Tasmanian Tiger, and hopefully you'll see, I mean, that looks awesome in there. So if you did want to put these onto something, then these slip in very easily, and they go down roughly, say, 3/5 of the way in. The CK scissors, they fit in as well, but hopefully if I put that on the side, you can see that the bolt on this that holds the pivot together is massive compared to this one. So the Neat Freak are a lot slimmer and a lot easier to get in. You can still get in these CK scissors, but you really have to give them a jiggle to get that in, and when they're in, it's just kind of looks unsightly, whereas your Neat Freaks go in perfectly. You can close them up, and I think in this colour that actually looks really nice, aesthetically pleasing obviously. Now the two together, if I put them on top of each other, or at least back to back like that, if you discount, or if I do it this way, if you discount the bear claw part at the back, you'll see that they are roughly the same size. One of the bits that I've already touched on is the fact that there is a big difference between the width of these, and it also comes down to the thickness of the stock that this shear is made from. So on the CK electrical scissors here, you'll be able to see, sorry I'm just trying to do this on camera, that comes in at 3.2 millimeters, whereas on the Neat Freaks it comes in at 2.3 millimeters. So there's roughly a millimeter difference between them, which then comes up to 2 millimeters, obviously as you've got them wider apart. The CK electrician scissors definitely feel a lot more robust. You've got this huge heavy duty pivot pin here, which you can undo if you want to take them apart, which you can do with this one as well. There is a hex nut at the back, but these definitely feel a lot more robust. Now that's not to say that when you hold these in your hand, they feel flimsy and not very well made. They're actually easier to open. I find that these glide a lot more, whereas these feel just a lot more utilitarian and just kind of tough. Again, there really isn't that much of a difference as far as they're concerned. One of the major differences is where the pivot is. So the pivot is roughly in the middle, so the distance from here to here is roughly the same as the distance from there to there. So whatever force you put down on this is the same force that you get here, and whatever movement that you make here is also equal to the movement that you get there. Now, it doesn't make too much of a difference, but when you take these into account, the distance between there and there is a lot shorter than the distance from there to there. So what you find with these is, with this being a larger movement, you get a shorter movement here, so you can apply more pressure and more of a biting force with the longer levers with this. Have I really felt much of a difference when I've been using the two of them? No, not at all. Whatever you can cut with this, you can cut with these as well. The beauty of both of these scissors, or both of these cutters, is that they have dual serrated edges. So whatever you put into that, the serrated edge really does bite onto it so that it doesn't slip. There's nothing worse than when you're trying to cut something and you literally just feel it riding along the edge of the cutters themselves. With this having dual serrated edges, it really does hold on to that to stop it from sliding out. A couple of other, or at least another safety feature on here is the fact that you have a blunt nose for both of them. It's very difficult. I mean, obviously you could stab somebody with this, but you're not going to do that much damage purely because hopefully as you can see there, it is a very blunt end. That means also as well, if you need to get this under clothing, if you did need to remove some clothing with this, you could definitely do that. I suppose if you needed to skin something, maybe, if you've got something that you needed to run it under, you could also do that as well. They're not perfect, they're not designed for that, but at a pinch, you could definitely do that with them as well. The last little thing really to point out between the two is just aesthetics. These are utilitarian designed electrician scissors. They look like electrician scissors, whereas the Gerber Neat Freaks, they just look a little bit more like your outdoorsy style cutters that you would find if you were camping, I suppose. But if you drop these on the floor, they can be difficult to find because they look like the undergrowth. Whereas these are very, hey, I'm over here. They're very easy to find. Oh, I forgot. There's a notch in here. You don't get a notch in this one, mainly because, they're not designed for those heavy-duty cuts, even though they're perfect for heavy-duty cutting. But if it is something that you needed to bite down on more to make sure it doesn't slip, that's mainly for stripping wires. But you've got the extra notch in there if you need it, whereas these, you don't have that notch in there. But overall, for EDC, I'm very happy with these. They're not particularly expensive. I think when I bought these, I got them, I think they were around £20. I'm guessing in the US, they're probably around $15 to $20 as well. Very inexpensive, very easy just to stow away. The beauty of scissors as well is you might find in certain situations or certain offices or buildings, carrying a knife is frowned upon, but having some scissors with you certainly isn't frowned upon, so you tend to get less of a weird look that you would possibly get if you pulled out a knife. And these scissors can do the vast majority of things that you probably need to do with a knife if it's something to do with cutting. I dare say you could probably use this as a mini pry bar if you need to get into a can of paint, but that's probably going above and beyond. I think Gerber have crafted a fine pair of scissors. They do what they need to do. You can hold them, they're very easy to hold, they're very easy to use. Whether you've got gloves on, whether you've got dirty hands, again, they're very simple and easy to use. Although, there's not very many difficult to use scissors out there, but they do what they need to do. Plus, if you're after something that you're going to take camping with you, you're going to take fishing, then there's just some of those, especially fishing specific things on there, but you've got your lanyard on, you can crack open some bottles while you're there with your buddies, or even if you're just camping, it's just got that extra little bit in there that you need. Now, as far as toughness is concerned, they're pretty fairly matched. If I was to compare the two, this is the bulldozer. This is, it's a lot thicker, it's a lot heavier, but there's less kind of features on this than there are on this. These are a little bit lighter. They do exactly, you can cut what you can do with these exactly the same way. There really isn't that much of a difference with those. These are definitely more heavy duty. These are a little bit more slimline. They fit into a scissor or shear sleeve a lot easier. I'm probably not making your decision any easier on which ones to purchase if you were considering. I think what it comes down to is the fact that they both do a very good job. These are extremely tough scissors that are very competent at shearing through things. So with these, they're not as heavy duty as these, but you can do extra, there's a little bit more kind of features on this, if that helps, and that's just not me rambling for the last 10 minutes. Full disclosure, I purchased these with my own money. I haven't been sent these to review favourably. I hope you like them. There'll be some links in the description below if you choose to purchase some of these using those links. I just get a small kickback to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and just means that I can afford to get more stuff in the future. So yeah, there'll also be some of my social media links below. If you did like this content, then please feel free to like, feel free to subscribe and share. But for now, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC.